Hello everybody, welcome to Cryptonomy. My name is Mo, I'm a computer and data scientist. I've been a crypto investor for the past 6 years, so I was able to turn a small amount of capital into 6 figures this cycle. So if you want to learn my way of thinking on the market and what helped me be profitable and the mistakes I did along the way, do like and subscribe. Now the topic for today is, are we going to get a relief rally, right? So we did have a pretty massive correction for Bitcoin so far, which is good. Depends how you look at it, right? But on this channel, we've been betting against Bitcoin so far. So for us, it has been good. We were able to exit, if you watched some of the videos, we were able to exit around this area. This is where I basically took most of my profit. To be honest, I got tricked here. I got invested again, and when saw that, I completely exited. Because it's time for the cycle, right? The 4-year cycle, it is very risky time to be actually long in crypto. So I was worried about any meaningful correction. And thankfully that worked out well. And ever since, we've been suggesting that the price is more lenient probabilistically to go down. And so far that has played out. But right now, I think the price did go 36%, so it is not a small correction, right? And to be expecting a little bit of a relief rally of some magnitude, maybe a short one or large one, or maybe we might go a little bit lower and get a relief rally, is pretty high, in my opinion. So it is important that we make sure we understand what might be coming to adjust our portfolios accordingly. For example, some of us do not want to be cut off short, right? And when you get that relief rally, as we will see later in the video, some of these relief rallies can go up for 40-50%. And that could mean, even if you're right about the direction, if you're wrong about the timing and you took the short now, then basically you wouldn't have funds again to go in again at even better prices. Or say you're thinking of selling your crypto right now that you couldn't sell on the way down, then maybe not selling everything right now. Of course, your money, your finances, please do plan ahead. But one idea that you could do is actually start DCA out if you're expecting a rally, so you get better prices. Or if you're expecting a downturn, then DCAing out as well, but at higher increments at the start and then smaller increments. You see that's the opposite of if we're expecting a rally, then smaller increments and higher increments. That's what I personally do. But of course, everybody has their own strategy, right? The first thing we can look at to determine whether we're going to get a short-term relief rally is the liquidity that's piling up, not on the 3-day, but actually on the weekly. So in the higher time frame, we're getting massive liquidity between 88,000 to 97,000, right? And that usually acts like a magnet, the liquidity. If you think as price is a variable, then there are many other variables that affect the price, whether you pull it up or down. And I think liquidity is one of those variables that affects price, especially if it's meaningful. But if you zoom in on the 3rd day, it just gets confusing. This is why it's very unsure, because you're seeing higher liquidity at the bottom, right? But it's always important to understand that those two exist right now in the current market conditions. The second thing that can suggest a short-term relief rally is the rally structure we've been having, right? So if you measure the declines and the rallies that we've been having, then we get some form of percentages, right? This one was around 18% down, which you can see right here. And then we did get another 12% up, round right there. Then the second one was like, right, 15%. And then we got a 9%. Right now we're at the lower end, right? So we stretched out our downtrends to around 25%. So that's the first signal that I get that maybe we're going to get exhausted soon. The bears are going to get exhausted because that's relatively large for the structure we've been having. Another thing is the daily candle type that we just printed out on 21st of November. What I noticed a lot is wicks like that usually form reversals. They're like good reversal pattern. We got one here. For example, you can see here we got a short-term bounce. Here as well, we got a short-term bounce. Even there, we like kind of, but canceled it out. And if you go even back here, right, that set of tone right there, and it does come up a lot, right? Here, in a way. So especially here, right? If you caught that one, that daily wick, that would have been a nice place to buy. And usually what I like to see after wicks like this is a pattern confirmation. So just a wick alone doesn't convince me. I need to see the second 2 days or the next few days. So if you do get that and then some bullish candles, then that could signal a reversal, right? But if you do get something funny, then you know, more downwards, you feel the wick, then that just suggests maybe lower for longer. So in understanding candle types, and when they're confirmed, I think it can make good financial decisions. So far, what I've seen is a wick, and this is not really a confirmation, it's just like indecision, I would say. And then that's more lenient to the upside, right? But if we here close just like not a bullish candle type, then I would start to ignore the fact that there's a wick there, right? So we'll see in the next few days. A little bit about the wicks. Basically, what we're seeing right now is we were in very bearish, and right now we're seeing a mix between that one and that one. So we're going through less bearish candle types, right? We got closing on the upper side of the candle, but we also got a wick, right? So that's why it's a mix of both. If you go look there, see, we close on the top side of the candle with a wick on top. And usually I like to see something like that, right? So as we said, the continuation will confirm the bullish trend or not. So that we'll need some time to see. Another thing I want to focus on our attention on is the increased buying pressure in terms of volume on the 4-hour time frame. So a lot of successful investors give the advice that volume leads price. There are a lot of lagging indicators, but I think volume is one of the few that comes before price. So price is lagging, at least in my experience, and some people I've talked with and heard interviews of talking. So right here we are getting some bullish momentum. The bullish candles are definitely dominating the red candles in this area. That suggests some sort of rally, right? But of course, that doesn't mean that it's going to be like, you know, huge rally. That could mean maybe just like, and we come down, or just here and done. Not sure, right? But it does say something. Of course, if you see increased buying pressure here again, then that would, I think it would mean another leg up, by the least. Now, another thing that could help us understand if we're going to get a rally or not is by studying the previous cycle market structure, right? So I've went through and analyzed every correction and short-term rally in the previous bear market, and this is basically the percents you get. I'm going to just highlight where those rallies are and dumps. Right there, that's one, that's for one, that's for two, right here, you know, the minus 37 is the way down and plus 44 is the way up. and then the third one is there, then the fourth one is there, and then the fifth one is around there, something like that, right? So if you just look at those, you can see that previous corrections and relief rallies were kind of consistent with each other, and it even translates to our current cycle. So right now we have around a 36% correction so far, right? And from here you can see we had 39, 37, 47, 44, 37. So we can say the average correction is just like on top of our head, average around 40% plus or minus 5%, right? So 35 to 45%. We're already at 36. I think time is getting due for some sort of consolidation phase, forming a bullish flag, right? People call that bullish flag, right? And oh damn, what's happening here? Click, done. Or like consolidation like that, or a short-term bounce. Any of those could be an option. This is just some of the things you can look at actually here, and you'll understand what kind of relief rally we might get. Therefore, I'm suggesting caution. And if you're shorting, maybe start with a small position, or if you're thinking of exiting, maybe just see what the next days hold. Of course, nothing is financial advice, education purposes only. I hope you enjoyed this video, and let's see if we get the relief rally in the next few days, weeks.